We're live, pal. That's right, folks. You're here at the Wrestling Inc. post Monday Night Raw show podcast with the one, the only, the trio of terror. Myself, the Blueprint Matt Morgan, joined by our all-star rookie of the year, and the season isn't even over yet, Mr. Alfred Konuwa, along with the owner and proprietor of WrestlingInc.com, Raj Giri. We are happy to be back. We hope you all have had a fantastic weekend since you've seen me last, because I'm on this show every damn episode. Just busting Raj's balls. But all jokes aside, I want to throw it over to Alfred.
Great. Fantastic job, by the way, Matt. I really love that. I like Trio of Terror. That's awesome, too. I like that. We go to Raw. Opening package quickly with Sheamus and McIntyre, teasing the tension between those two. Then we go into the ring for the Nightmare Before TLC segment. So what this essentially is the Miz reading a story, very similar to kind of what Samoa Joe did a couple of years ago when he was feuding with AJ Styles, where he has an actual book, Nightmare Before TLC. It rhymes. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but at one point he says, the ferocious friend, he said, the greatest hero from miles and miles, phenomenal AJ Styles. And then the lights go on, and here comes AJ Styles in one of the corner. And Styles calls out his ferocious friend with a deep-minded voice, which is almost Miz has the lights shut off. And then McIntyre, playing the role of Drew McIntyre, is, in fact, John Morrison in full Braveheart regalia, doing the whole Braveheart gimmick, improving, as it were. And then AJ says that, pretends to hit him with a chair, and they kind of get into a fake fight. They're doing all kinds of improv, which is the running theme of this segment, and Miz gets mad at him. They all start arguing. At the end of this whole display, the Miz adds some extra comments where he says if AJ should fail, then that's when Miz attacks, and it's time for the Miz, Mr. Money in the Bank. So then they start getting into it, and they get interrupted by Sheamus. Sheamus comes down to the ring. AJ tells him that if you're not going to be part of the solution, you're going to be part of the problem. So Styles throws a Christmas tree at Sheamus. Sheamus follows up by throwing a gift at Styles. And this sets up AJ Styles versus Sheamus before the break. What did you guys think about this opening segment, Matt?
I thought it was funny. I did. I thought it was funny and lame at the same time, on and off, kind of. But, yeah, AJ was pretty funny, I thought. Miz is always good. I thought Miz looked. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know how I feel about AJ playing like the jester a little bit in this at certain points. I'm like, that's AJ friggin' Styles. I love me some Miz, but I walked away feeling Miz was the bigger star in that segment. Like, he was made to feel like the bigger star. He is not a bigger star, but he was made to feel that way. And I don't know. What'd y'all think?
It was too goofy for me. And, again, when I watch wrestling, a lot of times I want to see stuff where I could watch it, have friends over, and then they get into it or they think it's cool. But, when they see something like that, they're like, what, this is corny, goofy stuff. And I can, who watches this? So I just thought it was corny. I thought it was
us.
Yeah, exactly.
I promise I promise I'm not a dork. Mainstream friends of mine. I promise.
But when you ask who watches this, a lot of our audience is, middle-aged, 50-year-old men and whatnot. They're not going to like a story time with The Miz and the stuff that happened in this segment.
I mean, a big part of the demo is over 50. So, I mean, granted, it's nitpicking over one segment. I usually think Miz and Morrison are
funny as hell. Funny as hell, usually. Really quick, wait. Tell me about I don't want to go into can of worms, but what do you mean by most of the crowd's 50?
Well, that is WWE's most popular audience is men over the age of 50. So I just, with them in mind, it's like, a lot of their audience are people who watch during the Attitude Era.
All right, let's slow that. All right, so more of their fans are 50 years and over than are, let's say, 30 years and over?
Yeah, I mean, that is the most dominant. When you look at total viewership that WWE does, the most dominant group that they really rely on are men over the age of 50. Yeah.
I would have thought kids.
No, they don't do that. I mean, kids do watch the product, but not nearly as much as when the product was hot, and they actually do struggle to retain children and especially women too.
Yeah, their median audience is something like 55 or something.
Yeah,
something
the median
really
age.
old.
Yeah.
What's, not to be a jerk here, but what's AEW's? Do we know?
AEW's is higher than you'd expect, but they do really well 18 to 49. Like that.
I would not have guessed this 50 business. I thought for sure kids were globbing onto the show, like little kids.
I mean, there's still a good chance. I mean, when you're talking about 2 million people, that watch it in a given week, there's hundreds of thousands that are, in 18 to 49 and everything like that. So
sorry about that tangent. I really had to know that though.
No, but my only issue with this is a go-home show for TLC, and this is a WWE Championship, and then also your WWE Champion is a serious guy in Drew McIntyre, who they've actually done a great job as a top babyface. So this really didn't kind of fit like a Drew McIntyre type segment, but I mean, he obviously wasn't part of it. It's just kind of undermines him as a serious WWE champion for them to go into this direction. But it did have funny parts to it. Like there were parts that legitimately I thought that were kind of funny, but I felt uneasy seeing this in the opening segment. But then we go into Sheamus versus AJ Styles. So
just real quick, I just feel like always, whenever WWE, when they do these Christmas segments, it just, I don't know. I can't remember the last time it's been good. I mean, I think you got to go back like 15 years, when the last time it was good. Like when Stone Cold was giving a stunner to Santa. It's been a long time since they do these holiday themed, segments, and they just come across as flat.
Yeah. So we get into Sheamus versus AJ Styles. They have a good match. Sheamus is basically selling his left knee as AJ Styles is working it over. He gets a calf crutcher on it at one point. Before they go to break, Sheamus and Omos are kind of staring each other down. That doesn't really play in anything. The finish comes when Sheamus tries to climb the ropes with AJ Styles on his shoulder, going for like a super white noise, but Styles gets out, strikes his knee, and rolls him up and gets the clean victory. AJ Styles beats Sheamus. After the match, Sheamus goes after Styles, but they both trap Sheamus' leg in the ropes, and Styles just obliterates Sheamus with the steel chair, almost gives him a steel chair, and he just continues to go to work on him. No McIntyre for the save, and that is the end of essentially the first match of the show. What did you think about that, Matt?
Weird spot to be doing chair shots. A couple times looked like he hit him in the crotch. But Sheamus is a tough dude to be able to take all that, just for the record. I thought AJ gave him way too much. Sheamus got over tonight. If I watch this match again, I'd come away with, wow, the Sheamus character is pretty damn good. All the stuff is very believable. His offense is very hard-hitting. And again, I thought AJ gave him way too much. But that's the beauty of working with AJ Styles. That's why I loved working him. He's one of my favorite opponents because he puts everybody over he works with. AJ, you got to get greedier.
I mean, it does make sense to try to protect Sheamus because they are going to have him feud with Drew, sometime in the near future. I don't know if right after this, or I could not see that being the WrestleMania match, but who knows? But they're definitely doing
building
Sheamus versus
him. Because you saw that little flash thing they put up there about his. I'm glad they did that because he is a former world champion. He beat John Cena in a tables match. He's very authentic, very legitimate, and they treated him like crap for years. But unfortunately, and he's a friend of mine, I can't unsee what I've seen over the last 45 years with him.
And not to mention, right now, they're beating him all the time. Yeah. I don't think anyone sees Sheamus beating Drew McIntyre, so you should be getting Sheamus hotter and getting him more wins, so it's not implausible, but he's just getting beaten every week. I mean, granted, in this case, it made all the sense for AJ to win because AJ does have the title match this Sunday, but...
there's no shot in hell AJ wins, though? Come on. None?
Nah.
No, I'm not gonna. I'd be shocked if it happened. But one problem I had with this segment was that Drew McIntyre did not come down to make a save. It was not brought up as to why he was not able to be there, and I thought that was kind of a storyline hole, especially considering the fact that him and Sheamus are such good friends is so center of the storyline that the fact that his best friend didn't come down to make the save and it wasn't addressed.
Maybe that's the onus. Maybe that's the.
It could be, yeah, because they've touched on this before. Like a couple weeks ago, Drew McIntyre didn't come to make the stage. They actually made a thing of it backstage. And McIntyre admitted, I just kind of wanted to see you get your ass kicked. Like, being kind of a dick about it, but I thought it was very inconsistent, especially throughout the show. You saw babyfaces making saves, especially in situations where you would think that they were hurt.
don't you think that becomes the impetus though of why Sheamus and him become? They do that.
It
They
should.
do that on purpose.
It
Well,
can.
remember they did this a couple weeks ago where Drew didn't save Sheamus, and
Right.
later he said,
They
I knew
talked
you
about
could take care of yourself.
Right.
We don't do that kind of thing. So
they go back and forth with it, maybe through AJ's match. You know what I mean? Maybe it's next week. The follow up is after the pay-per-view. By the way, where the hell were you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, that is a good follow-up. And if they did establish it, that's one thing. But I mean, he was getting savagely beaten. And AJ even mentioned during the beatdown, hey, where's your best friend now? And it's just kind of like an off thing that the guy's not coming to see him. But I get it. If this is an impetus and they tell the story, I'd have no problem with it.
But to be fair, that's what makes. I think it hurts your baby faces.
Right.
Yeah. Alfred, your mic was crackling a little bit. Were you hearing that?
A little bit. I just thought it was my headset, which sucks.
Yeah, it might have been moving around. Tell me if it continues to crackle. We'll try to.
Okay.
No, that's good.
Gotcha. Real quick, Justin Lopez with the $1.99 super chat saying AEW's Christmas story was better than this. I mean, at the opening segment. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw it.
They did, AEW. They did a spoof or a parody of the Christmas story, and I guess it's going to be airing during the TNT Christmas Story Marathon that they do every year.
How did this person see it?
It's online. You can check it out. It's at Wrestling Inc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we go backstage from earlier today. They show the Hurt Business bullying a guy wearing a Matt Riddle hat and having a bronut. And they pour milk all over his head. And then they talk to Sarah Schreiber about Riddle's focus. MVP says that he's going to teach Riddle about respect. And then Lashley closed it out, said that the Hurt Business will send Matt Riddle and Hardy back to where they came from. Something along those lines. Then we go to Riddle. He has an idea for the New Day. So they're backstage. Hardy and the New Day are getting ready to come out. Here comes Riddle. He says, you know how we miss Big E tonight? Why don't we have Jeff Hardy team up with the New Day with Bro E in the corner? An enemy, and then Kofi says an enemy to the Hurt Business, or the Butt Hurt Business as he calls them, is a friend to the New Day. And then we get ready for our next match. The New Day and Jeff Hardy versus Benjamin, Alexander, and Lashley. This match kind of continues to tell that story of Cedric Alexander kind of being the hot dog of the group and stepping over his bounds. He tags himself in at one point. Lashley does not like that. The finish comes where there's a hot tag to Hardy and everything kind of falls apart. A lot of high spots there. It gets down to Sheamus or Hardy and Cedric finally in the ring. Lashley makes a blind tag. There's a twist of fate on Cedric, but it doesn't count. As Hardy goes to the top, Cedric trips his leg. Hardy gets into the Hurt Lock. Hurt Business wins, but Cedric celebrates this like he was the one who won the match. So the Hurt Business beats the New Day and Jeff Hardy. What do you guys think about this match, Matt?
Really quick, in the promo, I couldn't take my eyes off the fact that Bobby Lashley poured milk all over his beautiful suit. Gorgeous suit.
On his face, too.
I was like, damn, Bobby, was that part of it? Was that supposed to happen? Way to no-sell it.
And these guys in these segments, these are their real clothes. Like, WWE is not furnishing them. That's his actual suit.
Yeah. Vest on underneath everything. I was like, damn, you screwed that up. But written out promos for them. I guess I would assume MVP's wasn't, because his came across the most natural. But the match itself was what it was. It was entertaining. I did pop for Kofi calling them Butt Hurt Business again. I think that's pretty funny. Yeah. I don't know about the infighting. I would have liked to have seen Cedric for quite a few weeks just be this vicious dicky heel, not cocky, not the hot shot Willie Mays Hayes, if you will, of the heel tag group where he's trying to show up his own teammates. It's too early for that for him. He's been a babyface for quite a long time. Very, very babyfacey, like super babyfacey, like squeaky clean, annoyingly babyfacey. So this heel turn for him could, and I hope will do even more for him. But he needs to be a heel. And well, come on, Matt. He's out healing the heels on the match, trying to be a hot dog. That's not out healing heels. Out healing heels is being more vicious than when you get in the ring than a Shelton Benjamin and a Bobby Lashley. If you can do that in your heat, now you're proving yourself as a heel. Now you're going to get more heat on you because of that. Because that's a tough act to get more heat on physically on your opponents during the heat of the match versus the hot dog high spot crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One thing we forgot to mention, Omos in that last match was trying to do some, was trying to kind of like pulled Sheamus out and was like looked like he was trying to do something, and he just froze and got lost. So
Who?
Almost the
big
AJ's
guy.
giant
The bodyguard.
Yeah, in that prior segment. So he's one of several guys. Him, Keith Lee, Otis, Mace. They're being sent to the Performance Center to improve and work on their skills.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can see it. He could definitely use it because he definitely.
That's not gonna hurt. It's not gonna hurt them. But I will make the point real quick. It will screw up Keith Lee, and it will screw up what's his name, Otis's confidence a little bit. In my opinion, this happened to me a couple times. I needed it, but at the time, it still kind of screwed with my confidence a little bit because it told me that I wasn't fully ready. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Somebody in almost his position could absolutely benefit from work like this because he's so new to wrestling. But if you get a 15-year veteran and you say, we're going to relearn all those wires that you learned, it's really not going to be good for his confidence.
But
I'm worried about I'm worried about Keith. That's all.
Yeah. But it's better to improve than to go down the card. And we're kind of seeing Keith kind of going down the card. So.
Yeah. We'll get into that later. It's not good for Keith. Backstage.
Real quick, also with the match, this is what, the fourth week in a row now that they've done a variation of the New Day versus the Hurt Business?
Yes.
Right.
So, we're in that cycle where with the tag teams, they just repeat the same match over and over and over with variations.
Wait for the singles. Matches between them, brother. Those are coming next.
I feel like the Hurt Business has been in the same two feuds for the last 7 months or so.
They need to win the tag titles.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're waiting for. And again, I say ad nauseum, how is Bobby Lashley not a multi-time former world champion already?
Yeah. I was saying, I noted on Twitter that he's one of the more protected guys to have not won a world title. It's kind of crazy that he's never won a world title.
I don't know what they're waiting for.
I'm not counting ECW or TNA. I mean, in WWE.
He's not a spring chicken. He looks like one, wrestles like one, but he is not.
And they still protect him. He still does, very well. Very rarely do you ever see him lose.
He looks better than all of them. Who doesn't he look better than?
Yeah.
Probably the best physique in the history of wrestling.
Basically, outside of Drew and Roman, him and Braun, Lashley and Braun are probably the most protected, underneath those guys. So
good call.
Yeah, and Bray.
Bray.
Terry Allen Jr. with the $5 super chat, $5.10 super chat saying, previous week, Ortiz were autism inclusion.
Saw that.
Supporting us, Matt. Really nice, and AEW is selling them.
Very nice.
Saw that. And by the way, AEW is the first company that I've seen nationally, at least on television, get with Culture City. That's the company that I work with, and I help them get into stadiums and places like that to create sensory rooms for kids with autism that can still watch the event, have headsets on, have fidget toys and things to do while their families are able to watch the game through the class. It's a cool experience. Culture City is a lot of work. And that was one of my first things that I really loved about Brandy Rhodes. She's the first person, in my opinion, to bring it out on national television. It's an awesome company, and that's cool you noticed that. I did too, the T-shirt.
Really cool.
A couple other of the chats here. I am the best 237 saying, anytime I see a tag match, I turn the channel. But I love seeing Lashley in a good spot.
Yeah.
So that is cool. A couple other real quick. Little IMJ saying, you could see it on Keith Lee's face. He just didn't look happy to be there at all tonight.
Sucks.
Man.
And Estimation Jones saying, just tell Keith to slow down his spots. WTF. And so we'll get more into the Keith Lee segments because it really did feel like they were bringing him down a little bit.
Yeah. So we go backstage. Asuka's pumping up Lana. She's saying, you can do it. You're the bravest person I know. Proud to be your partner. Go out there and beat Nia Jax. So Lana goes out. She's confident, but then Nia gets there, and all of her confidence disappears. Very quick match. Lana gets a Hurricane Rana on Nia Jax. Nia gets pissed, tries a Samoa drop from the top rope. They almost fall, but Lana counters and rolls up Nia Jax for the win. Clean win by Lana over Nia Jax. After the match, Shayna Baszler ambushes Asuka, and then Nia Jax and Shayna do a number on Lana, smash her arm. A leg drops Lana's leg. Asuka makes a save on Lana, despite getting beaten up backstage, and runs off the heels, but the damage is pretty much done as Lana is all beaten up. What do you guys think about these segments, Matt?
I don't want to invest in Lana because I don't think it's real still.
They pulled her from the match. What sense does that make? She's the story of that match.
Yeah. Later on in the night, now she's out of the match, so it's not going to be Asuka and Lana. Asuka's going to have to find a tag team partner, and you're right. That's exactly what they've been doing for months. She gets put to the table. You want to, at the end, or at least in their minds, at the end, they're aiming for this underdog to get her moment, but here comes the moment she's not going to be there.
To me, the no-brainer, this is TLC. The no-brainer was to have this match be a tables match, and Asuka and Lana win by putting Nia through a table. Then you get, it kind of the payback. Nia goes through a table. Lana and Asuka win the tag titles, and it's a feel-good moment. I'm assuming Lana's going to do something at the pay-per-view. Maybe she interferes or I don't know what. But this story it makes no sense to pull her from it right now.
I agree.
So we go to Elias and Jaxson Ryker. Ryker says that Elias's music has changed him, and he believes that for far too long, Elias has been interrupted, disrespected, and attacked. Jaxson Ryker is here to stop that. So we get Jaxson Ryker's purpose with Elias. He is Elias' security guard to stop him from being interrupted. And Elias goes on to dedicate a performance to Lana, and he is interrupted by R-Truth. R-Truth says he's not an interrupter, and Elias says, "You just interrupted me. What do you have to say about yourself?" And R-Truth does a bit, says, "Well, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt." So then the jobbers come out, guys come out and get killed by Ryker, and R-Truth runs off. And, Jaxson Ryker is kind of spotlighted as a big monster. What did you think about this, Matt?
They did make him look a monster. I think it's ridiculous that we're supposed to believe that Jaxson Ryker is sick of people. That his music talked to him so much that he didn't want to see it get interrupted, and he wanted to make sure to defend him from his music ever being broken up. Get that out of here.
And you got Cutler and Wesley Blake. They got new gimmicks on SmackDown. This is Jaxson Ryker's Raw debut. They had tried out this gimmick last week on Main Event. So yeah, Ryker now a member of the Raw team. He's the former gunner in TNA. Had a little bit of a controversy, but they decided to bring him up. I know there was a lot of people who thought that they might release him, but that's not the case. So he's a huge dude. I mean, he's physically, he's physically imposing, and obviously Vince usually really likes that.
Yeah, so we'll see where they keep him in this role. I mean, it is conducive to a lot of comedy because he's going to be with Elias, but so far they've got him serious, and I think anything that he gets to do on TV out after that tweet he said should be considered a bonus for him, because I'm with you, Raj. It was sounding like you were never going to see him again after that controversy. But we go backstage with
real quick. A couple of the super chats here. Bigfoot Sneakerhead with the $4.99 super chat saying, "Off topic, are you watching Impact tomorrow? And will you guys have a podcast tomorrow? And once again, thank Matt for Thrive."
Dude, that dude is doing big things with his life right now. Proud of this guy.
We are not doing a podcast tomorrow.
I'll watch it because I'm a real wrestling fan on this show that will watch Kenny Omega go back to Impact to see what he's doing.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch that.
No, you won't. No, you will not. You're gonna
I'll
catch
watch
it
the
on
Kenny
YouTube.
Omega segment.
You're gonna watch it on your phone on YouTube.
Probably. But we are good. I mean, we have a podcast Sunday with TLC. Obviously, Wednesday. Glenn will be back on Friday. So it's we got a busy week coming up ahead.
Yes, we do.
And Chris went with the $5 super chat saying, "So I guess my spot guess was close."
Yes.
With Lana and Nia. Does this mean Asuka gives Dana and Mandy the shot during the pre-show?
Why both of them?
Well, they both came back, but I don't think it makes sense for her pulling herself out of the match to give it to Dana and Mandy.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought that, but I don't know.
And again, it just takes away weeks of storytelling.
Yeah, it's a bait and switch.
Okay, yes, it does.
I mean, they did do the storyline with Mandy and Dana Brooke getting injured by them, but
I don't know about
I figured
that.
you want to do more of a build. So.
Yeah, very interesting. We go backstage. We've got Miz and Morrison being confronted by Keith Lee, who brings a coin, tells them to pick a side. They both argue about heads. It's heads. They both win. So it's going to be a 2-on-1 handicap match. This is a handicap match with both Miz and Morrison in the ring at the same time. Even though Films does say that they have to tag in and out, but then they come back from commercial and he corrects himself. And apparently this is just them against Keith Lee. Lee dominates him early, but
real quick on this segment, you have the babyface saying they're going to win. Like, they're not going to lose. And when a babyface says that and then goes out and loses, it just makes them even look worse.
It kills your credibility. You can't say things like that as a babyface.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Is that he's going for the Spirit Bomb, then Miz chop blocks him, and they both pin him at the same time. Keith Lee loses, really an ugly loss for Keith Lee.
Point of this? What was the point of this? Who did this get over?
Yeah.
Miz and Morrison are two world-class. Well, Morrison's a world-class athlete. Miz is a former world champion, about to be, maybe, money in the whatever the hell it is, bank stolen championship coming up. Who knows? Semi around the main event, right? If you will. What in the hell did Keith Lee do wrong? To number one, I don't give a crap. He should have beat them. And nothing would have happened to them. Nothing bad would happen to what fans think of them. How could you have these two guys lose to him? Easy. He's bigger, stronger, faster, better.
Yeah. Well, it looks like they're trying to do, Miz and Morrison, putting them in that world title picture for this Sunday, involved with that storyline.
Okay. But Morrison is not a part of it.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's clear that Vince is soured on Keith Lee. I mean, you see it all the time. Someone's winning, and then all of a sudden they just start losing every week, and then they just go down the card. We've seen it with Ricochet. We saw it in the past with Cedric Alexander.
This dude, I'm not just going off on a tangent here, breaks major barriers for such a PC company, always trying to be super, PC. This dude is gift wrapped to you on a silver platter to break so many barriers, and not just the African American barrier. I'm talking about getting a world champion that's an African American. I'm talking about the top dog in that damn company, because he can go into interviews. He can come up. He relates to so many demographics. It's not even freaking funny. And P.S. He's amazing in the ring. We've never seen somebody that size. Oh, Bam Bam Bigelow, man. I'm sorry. I love Bam Bam to death. He was nowhere near as quick as Keith Lee. Not even close. That's quite high praise, by the way.
Do you think Keith Lee's promos, though, do hurt him? Because it is kind of that...
Okay, then take him off the mic a little bit if people may not like that. He is a monster. He should be treated as such, and he should have stacked those two cats up. I love both of them. With two-hand Road Warrior style pin, 1, 2, 3, snarling at the camera. No. How hard is this?
Yeah, and
they're going out of their way to screw themselves, this company. I don't get it.
Absolutely. It seems like since day one, I feel like they've screwed up Keith Lee.
I know we're talking about from day one. Yes.
Keith Lee's on the downturn now. It's like, do you remember a term where he was on the upswing? They gave you a big win over Randy Orton, but everybody gets their big win early and then goes away. And Keith Lee's just another casualty of this administration changing its mind. And all this business about a big man need to learn how to work. I'm not doubting that there are guys who can learn something or two. I'm not doubting the fact that Keith Lee, even with his decorated career, can learn something. But this speaks to a problem in WWE. Vince McMahon, he just all decided that he soured on him, and this changing your mind on guys who are at once upon a time the apple of Vince's eye is going to be the death knell for WWE in trying to build a star. You got to pick a guy. Can I just
say something real quick? I don't think he was ever his apple of his eye. That's the problem. I think when he was out there and he made that big, huge introduction to the national audience, he got over that night. And from that moment on, it should have been smooth sailing how to book this guy. Big man 101 squash match as soon as you debut him on Raw or SmackDown after that event, where he got over at the pay-per-view versus Roman at the end of that. Was it Royal Rumble or something like that? I forget what it was.
Yes,
Survivor Series. Yeah. And then the stare down he had with Brock, and Brock sold big time for him.
Absolutely.
Brock doesn't do that for everybody. You idiots dropped the damn ball with this guy. And you did it when you debuted him with the stupid music that you screwed up on him. You made him wear the stupid crap you made him wear. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been a slow downhill thing for Keith. And with NXT, the way they're getting their butts kicked by AEW is the widest margin this past Wednesday. Keith Lee would be way more valuable if you're not doing anything with him. Have him in NXT. Yeah. Him and Cross. That feud was working. That was doing well.
And they were hurt. I would love to see both guys healthy working each other.
Alejandro Villarreal saying, when will Triple H finally take over the whole WWE storyline writing? Just see what he was done with NXT. Now, here's the problem with that, though. NXT is by far the least watched show of the major ones.
But versus what Vince has been giving us, I'm sorry. I'll take at least Hunter's willing to think in the future. He's willing to. I mean, guys, he did something that, again, this company swore it would never do. It would never go out into the world and hire these vanilla midgets, is what they used to call them way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
These indie-rific, these internet darlings, these 5'7", 5'9", 5'10" independent wrestlers that can work a really good match, but couldn't draw money, is what I was always told, right? From the establishment. Bullshit. We've had people come in and prove that wrong, and Hunter saw that, and he changed NXT completely around by being smart enough to start gobbling them up and giving them a place to come wrestle under the WWE umbrella. WWE UK also is an amazing show. The NXT UK version, love that show as well. And they do that with those talents from overseas as well. It's smart. I think Hunter would be a lot better running full-time WWE creative than what we're seeing now. You're right about NXT, Raj, about where they're at with their ratings and all that other good stuff. That's true. But I still think it's much better than what Vince is giving us. And I sure as hell know he'd push Keith Lee to the moon.
And it is interesting that when Paul Heyman, was fired or relieved from his role, or they brought in Eric Bischoff, they never brought in Triple H for that role.
Didn't they demote him technically or something weird like that? Did they move him to actually something?
His duties changed, and some people saw it as a demotion, but others saw it as more responsibility. So it's just how you.
There may be a little bit of an indictment, fair or not, on Triple H. The fact that they sent NXT after AEW to kill AEW, and that didn't even come close to happening. And you can still see it this day where AEW is approaching 1 million viewers and whatnot. So there may be a stink on Triple H and again, I wouldn't say that it's fair, but there may be a stink on him in terms of a guy who can lead the company.
I'm going to put that fire out right now. AEW destroys Raw and SmackDown. Not even close. What shows? I'm being dead serious. Roman Reigns. We love SmackDown because of Sasha and Roman Reigns. Take them out of the show, it's a snooze fest. It's a 2-hour show, so it's less of a snooze fest than Raw is because it's 3 hours.
Right.
AEW is way easier to watch, way more fun to watch than both Raw, SmackDown, and yes, NXT, but to a lesser extent NXT. NXT is my favorite, my personal favorite WWE show, followed by then SmackDown and then Raw.
Right. And then when you look at it, from
my own opinion.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Justin Lopez with the $5 super chat saying, after WrestleVotes tweeted Keith Lee would be in the WWE title match against Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar. I can't see this happening now. Vince is soured on him. Yeah, so there was...
Wait, what?
So WrestleVotes... Yeah, like they had reported last week that was one of the match being considered was Keith Lee versus Drew versus Brock. But you see how Keith Lee's being used, and they're wanting to send him back to the PC. I mean, he obviously they live right there, so it's not like he missed any TV time. He's just
No, it's his off days. I did do something.
Yeah, exactly.
I just, man, I would kill to see that Mania match. I'd rather see just Lesnar versus Keith Lee 1-on-1, honestly.
Yeah. And Alejandro Villarreal saying, honestly, it's easier for me to watch NXT than Raw. About Keith Lee, I identify myself more with him as champ since I'm a heavy guy and a minority.
Yeah, he doesn't look like an everyday champ, but I mean, he's got all the tools to be a world champ. You saw it in NXT. They put the rocket on that guy. He was the first ever double champion, and he was on his way. He didn't even get to be double champion for that long. He was on his way to doing some good things, but it was the mix between Karrion Kross coming in and the fact that they were going to call him up. He didn't get to have that for very long, but now he's in no man's land.
I was pissed when he gave up that title. I'm like, no!
Yeah, and the way they did it.
Don't give that other title up, no.
Yeah, the way they did it, I remember it was so... so non-dramatic.
Very rushed too.
Yeah. Lewis 13 pointing out that Lee's head hit the apron off of a sloppy dive weeks ago, and so some people think that might be what kind of made Vince decide that Keith Lee needs more work.
Oh my good God, Vince, go show him how it's done then.
Yeah.
Jesus Christmas, really?
Listen, I don't want people going back and looking at Keith Lee and saying, oh, yeah, that's why he needs to go to work. This is a Vince McMahon problem. This is what Vince does. Yeah. He changes his mind. He woke up on the wrong side of the bed and said, all the big guys don't know how to work. And now he sets them to class.
Yes.
This is an infrastructural problem with WWE.
He's right. He's 100% right.
We've been seeing this.
One of his weird epiphanies that he has, and now it's all the big guys. And by the way, Did Vince have anything to say about Brock Lesnar botching his what do you call it?
The moonsault?
Shooting
star
press at WrestleMania? No.
Right.
And that was a much bigger botch. Sorry.
Yeah, and Alfred, to your point, I mean, we've seen this forever, where basically ever since 2005, once they've been in full control, whether it's Cesaro or when Big E first came in, he got a push in the Intercontinental title, and then they brought him way down on the card too, and Rusev, and you just see it time and time again where you see someone get some buzz, some momentum, and then they quickly bring it down. Braun, I mean, they protect Braun in that he doesn't lose all the time, but he is not near as hot as he was a few years ago.
Not at all. Everybody goes down. Well, we get into the Firefly Funhouse road trip. This is a wacky segment. We got some puppets in the crowd. Bray Wyatt comes out. He apologizes to Randy Orton. He says last week was a giant misunderstanding. He's prepared for some jokes for the Viper that will be hysterical. So you know where he's going with this. His first joke, he says, what's the best way to measure a Viper? Inches, because they don't have any feet. That's right. And we're not done yet. What do snakes use? What do snakes use to clean their car windows? Windshield wipers, ladies and gentlemen. Randy Orton interrupts, and he says, for the first time in a long time, he was outmaneuvered by the Fiend last week, and it's never going to happen again. Randy thinks the Fiend's field trip should pay him a visit tonight, and Randy wants to play a game of hide and go seek, which Bray accepts. What did you think about this, Matt?
I was going to point out one thing. It's happening more and more, and I swear to you, it's a rib on Vince. It's the word maneuver. Watch the talents. They're overly using it, and it's hilarious because that's what it is. It's being written in there, and normally we would just shit can that word. Like, nobody says that word. We're not saying that word. But I swear to you, it's an inside rib.
I've heard it a lot lately.
It's an inside rib on Vince, I swear. This was all right? This was anything with Firefly Funhouse, I'm part of. I like.
Bray is great. As the way he does these promos as an actor, even when he was doing it before with the swamp gimmick, I love it. Like the way he does it. But I'm just, this character is not doing it for me.
Bored of it.
Well, the puppets. When you have the puppets signing carrots, like Matt Riddle's carrot, and Randy Orton was scared of one of the puppets last week. Then it's like, with all the magic, it just gets too hokey. When The Fiend came out last year against Finn Balor at SummerSlam, I thought this was just something super hot. Like, it was just the coolest new character I've seen. And then they did all the tinting of the lighting, and then he can't die, and he's getting hit with toolboxes, and 35 curb stomps, and he still gets up. I like it better as just he's just this crazy guy with the mask, and when he's on with that mask, he just he just feels like a different person, but not that he's some mystical creature, and it just loses me there.
I've actually enjoyed the character. I've enjoyed him and Alexa recently, and I think it's lost something without her there the past couple of weeks. Yes. And my main problem with this is, like, who's the babyface in this feud? Like, Randy Orton certainly isn't acting like a babyface, and he's been the top heel. And, the WWE even produces a crowd to boo when he's doing things. And then with Bray Wyatt, if he's a babyface in this feud, like, telling all these jokes, which, okay, yes, they're silly and whatnot, but this is something a heel would do, is tell all these hokey jokes and laugh hysterically at them obnoxiously. That's not something a babyface is doing.
So to them, this is the Joker versus, let's say, Bane, right? Sure. Bane is definitely the heel. There's no questions about it. But there's some areas of gray with Joker where you laugh along with some of his crazy antics. But at the end of the day, he's still the Joker and he's still the heel. So I think this is heel versus heel, with us kind of pulling for Bray.
Yeah, because they're piping in the crowd noise. They're putting in the cheers for Bray and then the boos for Randy Orton.
Right.
So they're definitely, with the way they're trying to manipulate it, they're making it seem like Bray is the baby
Bray's the face between the two. Yeah.
Yeah. Lily MJ saying breath is such a breath of fresh air. He plays the character well.
Oh my God, yes.
He's an excellent performer.
Yeah,
he's like a method actor, dude. Yeah. He really is. He gets all into it.
Yeah. Alonzo Smith's asking what happened to Alexa Bliss. I know she was in.
Yeah, where is she?
She was in LA filming an episode of Punky Brewster that Devon Dudley was actually producing. But I actually think that was a little while ago. Devon said it was last week, but I actually thought it was a while ago. But you would think it wouldn't take that long, and she'd be done by now. And because Charlotte was filming too, and I think she's she's done. So I don't know. They haven't even mentioned her. So
Yeah.
And Alonzo also saying, I'm not a fan of Sweater Bray with the puppets, but I like the Fiend.
Yes. He had an ugly Christmas sweater for the Fiend, Bray Wyatt.
What was next?
Any more,
What was next on the show? The show.
Okay. So Mace gets into it with Ricochet. You talk about WWE screwing up a character.
Does anybody
Mace
care? Does anybody really care about this? Just off the top. No, nobody cares.
Runs down. Ricochet runs off Slapjack and T-Bar. Ali directs Mace to shut him down. Mace hits like a modified F5 and wins the match. Clean in the middle, beats Ricochet.
Okay.
Ali says, this isn't until I say it does. Matt, go ahead.
So it doesn't get worse than this. Ricochet, you've officially hit rock bottom, my friend. I think it can't get worse for you. I feel terrible for you. I think you're a star, a big star, a movie star. I really do. I don't know why this is happening to you, my friend. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't think anybody in this world that watches wrestling understands any of this. At first it was, okay, this is what they're doing. He's a huge star of the indies. They're going to break him down like WWE always does and build him back up again. I'm still waiting, and so is the world, and we're not going to wait much longer, and it's not fair to this kid, because he is different. He is amazing to watch, and he is different. Well, Matt, there's other guys that can do high spots, not the way he does them. I don't know what it is. It's the same thing that AJ Styles has. There's a certain pizzazz in English and their body language when they pull off the high spots that they pull off versus when others do it. He's different. He's a star, and I know his promos could be better. They have gotten better, I think, a little bit, and they would have improved more if the kid could have some confidence. How the hell do you have confidence, though, when they're being treated this way?
Yeah,
Mace.
I mean,
Mace?
Mace.
Mace shouldn't be beating my neighbor. He shouldn't be beating anybody.
So he lost to Mace this week. He lost to Slapjack, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Ali the week before that. So first of all, why does Retribution even want this guy when they beat him really easily every week? I mean, they had 20 other guys just a couple months ago. So why do they need Ricochet if all he does is lose?
Brother, who the hell knows?
This Retribution.
They need to throw a grenade on it officially. I thought they already did. What are they doing? What is this lingering stuff?
As a viewer, I'm watching this, and typically it's like the stable's going after one guy, so you would think it's like he's going to go after one member of the stable 1 week at a time and beat him until he gets to the leader. They've done this completely backwards because the leader beat him week one. Right. It's like, who cares? Then his dude keep beating him. It's like, I don't care about this anymore. I don't want to see Ricochet versus anybody. Like, the story's over for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be T-Bar or Retribution, or not Reckoning beating him next week.
Yeah, down to the last two. Okay, so we get to Shayna Baszler. Oh, no, we go backstage. Okay, so another Matt Riddle. So Matt Riddle was all over the show, by the way. This time he's with Ramblin' Rabbit. He's got an idea. Oh, no, he's with Bray Wyatt. I'm sorry. He's got an idea. He's got pronouns with a Venn diagram that he shows off. Bray Wyatt sulks off, and then Ramblin' Rabbit pops up, and Riddle calls Ramblin' Rabbit Baby Broda, kind of like Baby Yoda, and Ramblin' Rabbit signs a carrot for Riddle, who's got a little buddy at home he wants to sign a carrot for. What do you guys think about this? Raj, I can already tell you're dismayed, but Matt, what do you think?
I'm going to throw it to Raj. My comment in this entire segment is, what the bleep was that?
So I guess Matt Riddle walks around with carrots. Like, was he planning on eating it, or he just had a carrot? He went and got it signed. Oh God, I hate what they're doing with Riddle too. I think.
It's terrible. Pronoun.
Yeah. I mean, I just hated it. I'm sure there are some people that like it. I just think he just comes across as so irritating and just impossible to want to be someone you'd be behind. That you'd get.
Yes, just let him wrestle. There are talents you can just let wrestle, and they will get over on their own. He's one of them. I don't know why they put him in these stupid segments with the overly bro crap. It doesn't add to his definition of character. We already know this about him. So how is his character advancement and character development? It's not. What is it developed? We know he says bro a lot. Awesome. Good story. We knew that like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. They've done nothing new to add layers to the character. Mm-hmm. This isn't character development. This is a waste of my damn time. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And there's no subtlety to it either. It's just it reminds me of what they did with RVD when he was getting hot, and they just made him this dude, and they just had him say one word on TV. It's just really bad to watch.
Even then, he still had the cool sign off crap doing that. Right. I didn't care what he said as long as he signed off with that. I'm like, all right, that's cool. And his matches were awesome. But to be fair, Matt Riddle's matches are awesome. Yeah. Just let him wrestle. Get out of his way. Let him wrestle. Don't let him talk for a little bit.
Yeah. Stephen Marchichuli saying, what's the bigger match? Heel Fiend, Cross, or Baszler down the line?
Bigger match.
Heel Fiend versus Killer Cross, I guess, or Finn Baszler?
I don't know who we're matching up here.
I think the Fiend against Cross or Baszler.
Oh, Cross.
I mean, they've already done Baszler.
Cross.
Yeah. Whoa. A couple of these other
super chats.
Yeah. Okay, that was the last one. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so we get to Shayna Baszler versus Dana Brooke. Baszler starts off by trying to break Dana Brooke's arm. Immediately, Nia Jax jumps in and attacks Dana Brooke with the disqualification. Mandy Rose comes down with a kendo stick. Asuka makes a save as well. And so they're teasing Asuka is going to have to find a new partner this Sunday. Is it going to be Mandy? Is it going to be Dana? So Lana is out of that match. Then we go backstage. R-Truth is talking to Huskus. Said, you've spent time in the pen before, so Pigpen Penitentiary. Truth asks Bray Wyatt if Huskus is his son. And then Wyatt continues to look for Randy Orton. And R-Truth says, what a beautiful family.
So real quick, did we just think there's so many puppets backstage?
Yeah, they just find them.
I like I said, I hate it. Yeah. I hate when you're. I liked it in the Funhouse.
Yes.
In that setting. It's great, but when they're around and scaring Randy Orton,
yes,
it sucks.
There's two things I like to do. I like the fact that they're in their own universe, but sometimes with the puppets, and you don't even notice it, they just have a puppet in the background with somebody.
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt, and that's pretty cool when they do that. But this whole the puppets
not in the arena. Not in the arena too.
Yeah,
I've seen them in the arena. I forget which one popped up there behind like where the fans usually would be behind the guardrail and stuff. Like this is stupid.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, yeah, it's a little more subtle than that. Like, I just think if you're going to use the puppets on TV, the fact that they're these central figures is just ridiculous. But
no one thinks that these puppets are real beings. So
yeah,
it just kind of at some point it's too silly for me.
So then we go into Bray Wyatt continuing to look for Randy Orton as we come back from break. Bray Wyatt sees an empty rocking chair, and he sits into it, kind of like the old Bray Wyatt. Randy Orton, of course, attacks him from behind, beats the crap out of him. WWE's airing the booing audio track, so you know he's a heel. He stomps Bray Wyatt in a chest, closes the chest, locks it, pours gas on it, lights it on fire. All of a sudden, the Fiend comes out of this chest and slaps on the mandible claw. What did you think about this segment, Matt?
That part was okay. This segment was all right. But they hurt themselves with all the other romper room crap they were doing early in the show.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a cool visual. It was kind of cool the way they did it with the Fiend coming out of the. Like I thought he was just going to walk away and the thing was going to burn. But him actually coming out with the fire going, it was a cool visual. Again, I'm not a big fan of the magic and like last week when the Fiend, Bray Wyatt turned into the Fiend when the lights went out. It just takes a lot of suspension of disbelief, but it was a cool visual. I thought it was a cool looking segment. Kind of reminded me of stuff they do with Undertaker back in the day.
Yeah, and I like and the thing is, it does remind you of Undertaker in '98 and all the segments that they've done with setting things on fire. Very rarely, if ever, have you ever seen a guy come back from that. And I think something like that makes the Fiend come off as really cool. I actually really thought that this made up for all the crap that they had earlier.
Yeah.
We go to
real quick, David Draper with the super chat saying, do you see anyone on the WWE or AEW roster that have Stone Cold or Rock potential? Could either of these guys on each roster be larger than life? I think you're going way too high with Stone Cold and The Rock. I don't think we're ever going to see that.
No, and to be fair, WWE's business model nowadays is not set for that. They don't want, as much as they say they want somebody to go grab that brass ring. I've watched 18 guys I can name right now reach that brass ring. That Stone Cold and Rock had reached back when they had their brass rings to go after, right? It's not a real thing anymore. And it's done on purpose so they could paint by numbers. And when a Roman Reigns, who's their top dog, gets injured, they have multiple people that they think they can slide in his place or in that top slot's place if any of them get hurt. Mm-hmm. It's a smart business model for that reason, but it's stupid as far as them making as much crazy stupid money as they could be making right now, especially when they all open it back to audiences and we start caring about who can draw fans to shows nowadays or not. That's not even a thing anymore. It's not even, when this guy was on top, he drew this many fans. They don't even look at the statistics on that anymore.
Yeah. Everything is company first.
Yes, it is.
But also with AEW, again, the Rock and Stone Cold, I think that barrier is way too high, but maybe like a Randy Orton.
MJF, I think is a major star written on him, right?
Yeah, MJF, I think definitely he has the potential to be on that level, like a Randy type level, not a Rock or something.
And in addition to WWE not being the business model to produce a Rock, I don't think they have the ability to do it. I think by now, for all we know, 1,000 Rocks could have come and gone.
No, the Rock is one. The Rock's
I know. I don't mean
he's the biggest star in the world.
I mean 1,000 guys who could have been big stars or just been the top guy here and there, and I just think if that guy, The Rock, maybe because it's The Rock and it's because it's Dwayne Johnson, but if Rocky Maivia would have come along today, they would have kept him as Rocky Maivia. I think they would have forced that, and I don't. Maybe he would have made it work. Yes. Remember, Rocky Maivia was a flop, and they had to turn him heel, repackage, and do that, and go back to the drawing board. I don't think they have that type of patience today. I think today's WWE would have just said, no, this is our guy as Rocky Maivia, and we wouldn't have gotten even The Rock.
And I'll do you one better. Once it flamed out and he was shoved down everybody's throats and it didn't work, he'd be in NXT or released.
Yeah,
I can't believe I'm saying that. But that's how it would be now.
And that's what I mean. The Ricochet could have been a guy like that. Obviously not The Rock, but a guy
not The Rock, but a major star.
There's a lot of guys
like a Rey Mysterio.
Yes, exactly. A major star in their own right with their own thing, and then just completely look. They had the next RVD and Matt Riddle, and they're screwing that up. Like there's a lot of things that they have that they really haven't done a good job at. But speaking of Riddle, he has a match against MVP, very quick match, brings out his bro nuts, hits the floating bro, and wins the match. He's chased off by the Hurt Business, but he's standing tall at the end there.
He brought out his bro nuts. Like, come on. Like, this is the crap I'm talking about. But amazing in the ring. You cannot take anything away from him once that bell sounds. He's so damn different.
He's awesome in the ring. Yeah.
He really is.
Bigfoot Sneakerhead back saying, this sucks that they will not let Aleister Black go back to NXT. Ooh. And I know Vince will punish him for that. WWE needs to be revamped badly.
Dude, that's a good call. Black is somebody we were pretty high on.
He did ask to go back to NXT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. He got denied, right?
Yeah, he was denied. But
why?
They're not even using him, so why not?
Why? What's because he's probably going to get released then, right? I mean, that's why? Why would you do that? If you're not using him, why not have him go back down to NXT? Help him get other talents over, maybe, or reestablish his character was awesome. I don't know what they did with it. There was no reason to change his entrance. He had a dope entrance.
Yeah,
I don't know. He's good. He's very talented.
Now he was like clicking, like all his stuff. He had worked on his physique. He looked athletic.
He did. Yes.
And the music, the entrance, everything. It was so awesome. Cool. And then they just. I mean, he beat Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania this past year. That's how quickly he's fallen.
Yeah. Well, we go to the main event. This is the WWE Championship Ascension ceremony. We start with AJ Styles saying and reminding everybody that he's never faced Drew McIntyre ever. He said it's shocked. It took Drew McIntyre in 19 years to climb this mountain. So he saw Drew lose to Orton. He said, you keep making all these mistakes. You're taking too many risks. You've never even been in a TLC match. And I'll look phenomenal with that title around my waist. Drew counters. He says his goal is not to get to the top, but to stay there. He said he led WWE through uncharted territories in 2020. Every man dies, but not every man truly lives. And he's willing to die. It's from something. I can't remember where it's from. I was going to look this up, but I can't. Maybe
like
somebody
Braveheart or something.
Yeah. Oh, God. I hope not. With all the stuff they did in the comedy at the beginning, and he goes back and forth that.
Yeah.
But he says he's willing to die, do whatever it takes to be champion. And AJ says, well, it might not only be me who you have to face, which does bring up an interesting point we can bring up later on. But then Miz and Morrison come out. And so now they all three beat down McIntyre. McIntyre comes back, hits a Claymore to Miz and Morrison, but then gets overpowered, almost starts throwing weapons in. AJ Styles just destroying Drew McIntyre with chairs. Phenomenal forearm, lays him out, and then Styles puts him through a table with an elbow drop from the ladder, and then he ends the show with the visual of AJ Styles standing atop the ladder with the WWE Championship to make you think that Drew McIntyre might be in trouble. And to their credit, they never lay him out, but they did. Drew was kind of making it to his feet toward the end there because they do try to keep him strong, but they did essentially lay out Drew McIntyre on the show. Think about this.
They did. They got to make you think AJ has a chance to beat him, which I hope he does. Honestly, I love Drew. I just don't see what they're doing with him. What's the main event for WrestleMania? Any of those matches for WrestleMania is much better versus AJ Styles, no matter who the opponent is, for my money.
Yeah, I think Drew was kind of dealt a bad hand with
having a
title reign during this with no crowd.
That's fair.
And so he hasn't really been his character. I feel like it just hasn't been that interesting. So I definitely wouldn't mind AJ winning, but I think there's no way that happens. I think Drew's definitely going over. But yeah.
What do you guys think about the angle that The Miz has Money in the Bank? This is a ladder match that can only, or this is going to be a TLC match, right? Or is this going to be a straight up, this TLC? Or a ladder match, whatever. There's no rules, essentially. You just have to go up and grab the title.
Right.
Miz has Money in the Bank. They just pretty much addressed that here. What's to stop The Miz from jumping in and, screwing Drew McIntyre out of the title or cashing in Money in the Bank and laying both those guys out?
I think before Miz cashes that in, and I think he'll win it. I do. I think it's going to come after whenever. When does he have to cash it in until?
Got till July of next year.
So
May. I think it's May of next year or something.
So it'll be after Drew versus Sheamus's feud. This is just a tease, maybe. Or who knows? Maybe he comes. We really don't know.
Yeah, I could almost see Miz and Morrison actually costing AJ the match because AJ was saying that Miz is easier to beat, and then wanting to cash in on Drew that night, and just as he's about to cash in, Sheamus runs in and makes the save, and so you go off the air with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was your show. Overall, what did you guys think? Good show, bad show?
I thought I was pretty bored for most of it.
Me too.
So much of this is the 3 hours aspect of the show that just makes it hard to sit through. But there's some great matches on here for what it's worth. I did like the opening match a lot, even though I thought he gave Sheamus way too much offense. Going into a championship match as the heel that we're supposed to think is going to up or beat Drew, or could beat Drew, you don't have him selling for Sheamus. That's my opinion. But the argument Raj made makes sense too, that they got to build Sheamus for the next one. That's true too. So the matches though were good. A lot of them. A lot of the normal stuff that drags the show down dragged it down tonight. The terrible writing for the backstage stuff is terrible. The stuff with Riddle is god awful. They even managed to find a way to corny up Bray Wyatt a little bit, which I used to think was damn near impossible to do because his stuff is so original, it's so creative, but they have managed at times, not many times, let's say, let's be honest, but to do stupid stuff with Bray Wyatt. They need to be super protective with what they do with him. But I don't know. If we're grading this on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, this is 6.8.
Whoa.
Okay, no, 7.
No. I
was going to give it like a 5.
Oh, I go back to my 6.8.
You said it.
Yeah, it's just, you didn't miss much watching if you missed tonight's show. It wasn't as bad as last week. Last week you could have missed the whole show and nothing happened.
What about you, Alfred?
There's only one segment. I'll just go back and show people the Fiend segment. I just thought that was a super cool visual, but other than that, this show could have just taken or leave it. And the fact that this is a go-home show, what's my score for the show?
Yeah, 1 to 10.
I would give it a 5.5.
I came in low.
You were going to say for a go-home show, it was weak for a go-home show?
Yeah, it doesn't make me excited to see TLC. There's nothing that happened on the show where I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see these guys lock it up. And
But AJ, he didn't put him through a table. He jumped on top of another man that was laying across the table which minimizes AJ's size. I just will put that out there. When you're wanting to send somebody home at the end of a show like that, standing over the prone body, it's way better. AJ is strong enough to do this too, and I know Drew's a big boy, but AJ's strong. I told you, I've taken a Styles Clash before. He's strong as hell. He could have powerbombed Drew through that table.
Instead of having to come off but I think he wanted to use the ladder. The whole thing was showing him using the tables, the ladders, and the chairs. And so
he's still being the little flyer, but yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah. No,
but you want to send people home with, I have to watch this pay-per-view because it is TLC. And throughout the entire show, they did try to put over aspects of, tables, ladders, and chairs.
Oh, the Fiend is coming for you.
He is, right? But they did try to put that element of the gimmick of the pay-per-view, right, over throughout the show. I just didn't think they did a good job with it. That's all.
Yeah. No, I agree. Speaking of which, let's just run down this TLC card real quick. There's only 6 matches right now. Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton. Who do you guys pick?
Oh, jeez. Is it Bray or Fiend?
Fiend.
Yeah, it has to be the Fiend.
Yeah, I think so too. Kofi Kingston, Xavier versus Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin.
It's going to be a great match. P.S.
This should be a ladder match. Shelton.
I would love that. I would love that.
Oh my God, and what
TLC
Kofi can do. That's a great call. Why isn't it?
I have no idea. You got 2 TLC matches, but they don't, because the other years they'd have like a tables match, a ladders match.
No, you're right.
They had a stairs match one year.
Yeah.
But dude, you're right. What Kofi and Shelton could put together. Oh my God. And what's his name probably could do. He's never really had a chance at it. Cedric
Alexander, yeah.
He'll put some cool shit together too, I'd bet with that. I hope Hurt Business wins. I do.
Yeah, give me the Hurt Business in this one.
They need it. They would benefit from it the most. The New Day, it's not doing anything for them.
No.
Women's Tag Team Championships, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler against Asuka and TBA. Who's going to be TBA? Dana Brooke, Mandy Rose. Probably Mandy Rose.
It's staying on Jax and company.
They might do something where Asuka just tries to do it by herself, and then Lana comes in, hobbles, and helps. So I'll go with Asuka and TBD.
Yeah.
Because if it's going to be Lana, I'm going to say Lana and Asuka. If it is Asuka that comes out, if it is Lana comes out the end with her arm in a sling, bandage on her head, Spirit of 76.
These women's tag team champions, they're going to make them into a complete joke because it wasn't too long ago where these were 2 of the hottest titles in the company when Bayley and Sasha had them and they were doing their gimmick. And now we look at the possibility of a hobbled Lana as a tag team champion. What are we doing here?
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I can see that. Asuka's just taking them on by herself, and then Lana comes in later. I don't know. Again, that match would have made sense as a tables match, given how that story went with Lana in it.
Mm-hmm.
SmackDown Women's Championships, Sasha Banks versus Carmella. It's way too soon to beat Sasha still, right?
It is. I feel bad for Carmella a little bit, right? But it's Sasha. Sorry. It's definitely Sasha.
Yeah, I got Sasha too.
Yeah, same here. And then the WWE Championship, Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles in a TLC match.
I'm going to predict the upset. AJ Styles somehow. Or The Miz even. How about that?
You think The Miz leaves the show with the title?
Oh.
I got to predict something crazy here. Either AJ or Miz. It's definitely not Drew is my weird prediction.
All right.
I was tired of agreeing with you guys, so I was going to predict AJ, but I guess I'll just go back to Drew McIntyre so that we don't agree.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Drew, too.
Everyone's going to say Drew.
Yeah.
And this one is it's a no-brainer, but it should be really good. Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens with the WWE Universal Championship. No way in hell they beat
No way
Roman
in hell.
They better not.
Yeah.
Roman.
No way.
Roman.
And whoever beats Roman should really be, like, super hot. Like on fire.
And there's nobody there yet.
There's no one. And it won't be until we have fans and someone legit gets over.
Yeah, should have given Keith Lee a year of being a monster. He would have been ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. And so that was about it. Yeah, that was it. AEW. We'll be back on Wednesday after AEW and NXT. The ratings this week should be interesting. I'm sure they'll all be down this week. AEW was, kind of spiked last week with Sting and Shaq. But, that's about it. Matt, do you have anything you want to plug?
No, those you guys are looking to get in shape. If you're someone looking to lose weight or add more muscle, whatever your fitness or health goals are, hit me up. We have got Thrive, the 3-pack here, guys. You take these 2 pills in the morning fasted, wait 20 minutes, take the shaken. That's step 2. Step 3 is you put one of these DFT patches on your ankle or your wrist. It gives you time-released energy throughout the day. It's an all-natural product. It's worked wonders for me and my beautiful wife, who's dropped 22 pounds in like slightly less than 5 weeks. She looks amazing, and this stuff is working miracles for me, my family, and a lot of my friends. Thank you for the support of all the fans of this show that have come out in droves that are all now on this stuff. I'm so happy to see that. And you can too. Just hit me up on DM on IG, Facebook, Twitter, wherever have you, and I'll get you started.
And Alfred, what about you? Do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Follow me on Twitter at This Is Nasty. Read my articles on Forbes and watch my YouTube channel, Pro Wrestling Bits.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll see you guys on Wednesday after NXT and AEW. And until then,